After beating Tears of the Kingdom, I've been thinking about what makes a Zelda game a Zelda game. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild broke the Zelda mold in a lot of ways, and I think it was necessary. There were a lot of things getting stagnant, old, stinky, but I think a lot of good things were left on the cutting room floor as well. So let's talk about one of them. The Zelda series has consistently had a companion character since Ocarina of Time. This tradition was bookended in Skyward Sword by Fi. Fi, Folfam. I'm just going to call her Fi. As the final companion and embodiment of one of the most iconic items in the entire Zelda series, in the Master Sword, Fi bears a lot on her enrobed shoulders. Does she live up to expectations? Not to me. She's got her charms, sure, but her flaws end up too glaring to dismiss. Now, it's one thing to complain, but let's be a little more productive and think of ways to improve her character. I think the Zelda franchise is pretty much done with the companion character formula. Echoes of Wisdom looks like it will have a companion, but from what I've seen, they seem more like a tool than a character. But hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Tri could end up being the most deep and fascinating character in all of Zelda history. Before we get to Fi, let's figure out what makes a good Zelda companion character. Going all the way back to Ocarina of Time, we have Navi. Navi's been famously derided for being pushy and annoying. Sure, I had a few times where I found her obtrusive, like when she stops you to tell you how a door works. But, in her defense, there are no doors in Kokiri Forest. That might have been the first time Link ever saw a door. There are also times where she's just constantly interrupting you while you're doing side content to get back on the main quest. Navi doesn't have a whole lot of personality. She doesn't even have a face. But she's loyal, kind, and a little clumsy. We all saw her run into that fence. I really like the character acting they were able to get across with her when the Great Deku Tree died. Link runs off to start his quest, and Navi pauses and says her goodbyes to the lifeless tree. She kind of gives me the vibe of a mom trying to keep it together. At the end of the game, after having so much to say throughout it, Navi wordlessly leaves Link so he can make a new future for himself. Her character is short, simple, and to the point. Then there's Majora's Mask, a game filled to bursting with complex characters. Its companion character, Tattle, is no exception. Tattle starts off as a friend to the antagonist, Skull Kid, and even gets in Link's way so that Skull Kid and her little brother Tail can get away from him. It's only after she realizes that Skull Kid abandoned her that she forms an uneasy alliance with Link, just until they can get back to her little brother. When they confront Skull Kid at the clock tower, and Tail is essentially taken hostage, Tattle decides to go all in on helping Link on his quest. Tattle is feisty, sassy, and very protective of the ones she cares about. If Navi's a single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops. Tattle is kind of like a mean older sister that will tease you, but won't let anyone else get away with it. She's more impulsive and less emotionally mature than Navi. Tattle is still a child who tries to act more confident and grown up than she actually is. Her arc isn't as complex as other characters in the game, but that's not her role. She introduces the character to the themes of the game, that everyone is not as they seem, and there is more going on under the mask. Wind Waker is a little different. It likes to do its own thing. You don't get a companion that travels with you the whole game. At the beginning, Tetra gives you a magic necklace that kind of acts as a walkie-talkie. She guides you with it when you first enter the Forsaken Fortress, and throughout the game occasionally pops up to give you a hand. Then there's Medley and Makar. They help you get through the Wind and Earth dungeon, although you technically guide them more than they guide you. Considering this, the main companion of Wind Waker would arguably be the King of Red Lions. You want to fight me on that? He's very different from Navi and Tattle, as he isn't discovering the world and the story of the game alongside you, but he patiently unravels it for you when the time is right. He's well versed in ancient knowledge and always knows where to go. He is the epitome of the wise old mentor, who is also hydrodynamically designed. You no longer have a companion that uses a lock-on, although it would be funny to see that with that boat. He does have his utility, though. Of course, he sails you to the many islands around the Great Sea. When you get bombs, you can install them in a cannon to do some naval warfare. And when you get your grappling hook, you can use it to dredge up treasure on the ocean floor. Toward the end of the game, he reveals that he's the last king of Hyrule that was flooded under the Great Sea hundreds of years ago to stop Ganondorf's evil takeover. I like the king okay. I don't think about him very much, though. By the time the game starts, he's already resolved all of his character arcs. He's had many years to figure out what went wrong with his kingdom, and decided on what he needs to do to fix it. It may have been more interesting to really highlight how he's stuck in his old ways. Show how that's detrimental to your quest and to saving the world, and just challenge his beliefs a little more. Because ultimately, he draws a parallel between himself and Ganondorf. Both are kings chasing the lost glory of Hyrule, neither acknowledging that it's been dead and gone for hundreds of years. And the world has moved on without them, just fine. That could make it more powerful when the king realizes that clinging to the past is stifling the growth of the future. Hey, so I tried squeezing all 4 companions that came before Fi into a 15-minute video, and that didn't end up working out. So we're gonna split this up. Midna is gonna get her own video, as she deserves. And then we'll move on to fixing Fi. Thanks. Goodbye.